Hello and welcome to the Video Creator Show, where we talk details of how to succeed on YouTube. And what better way to do that than to talk directly to those who have done it? Today, I'm speaking with Laurie of Travel Tips by Laurie. Her channel currently sits at over 160,000 subscribers. She shares her hard-won knowledge of traveling. She has been packing only a carry-on bag for vacations, trips, explorations, whatever you want to call it, for over 20 years, and she certainly knows what's up. She can tell you what to avoid and has turned all of that knowledge into a YouTube channel. Some of her videos topping over 1 million views, and she's clearly doing very well in her niche. And this is a fascinating conversation. It's proof that really there's a niche for anyone and any knowledge as long as you're able to express it. But before we jump into this, the Video Creator Show is brought to you by VidChops.com, an editing service that helps take the burden of editing off your back. Check out VidChops.com to see how you can save yourself tons of time and energy while taking your YouTube channel to the next level. Laurie, so I'm really interested in your channel because I love traveling. Most people at least love the idea of traveling, but there's always these kind of headaches, a million little questions. I feel like it always takes me like a couple hours to pack, and then I realize all I have is like a pair of socks and some underwear, and it's like, why does this take so long? So someone like you is really important. So how long did it take you to go from knowing all of these things to starting your channel? And was that like a hard decision to make, or was it a fun one?
It took me forever to niche down. I was first Laurie Pop, ideas that pop, because I was solving a problem when we moved to Texas 7 years ago by making a little YouTube video or searching for things to do in Waco. It's this HGTV show is filmed there, and I wanted to know what to do after there. And I was watching YouTube back then as well. And so I was like, nobody has any tips on things to do here. So I was like, I took a few pictures and made a video and then redid it like 3 times on my Apple computer, not knowing about iMovie at all. And then I started thinking, oh, I can make this into a business. And so I thought of it as a business right off the bat, but no microphone, no good lighting whatsoever. And then after like a year and a half, I reached 50 subscribers. Back then it took forever and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was so excited with 50 subscribers. But then I went to Vid Summit that year and they talked about niching down. And I thought niching down was going to constrict my creativity. I was an elementary school teacher for 8 years, and it actually broadened my creativity, what all I could talk about with a suitcase. So that really helped me niche down. And then it just seemed like the channel, I was to 1,000 subscribers in like 3 months.
Wow. So
it's such a process.
Yeah, that's a huge change. So you niched down, which for those who don't know, essentially means you narrowed down the topics that you covered. And obviously travel tips was your niche after that. And so what you were worried it was going to restrict your creativity. Why did that end up not being the case?
I think when you are passionate about something or you are doing something a lot, you learn from your mistakes. And I'm a visual learner. Experience is the best teacher for me. I have to figure it out on my own. You can't tell me what I have to know about this boy I'm going to date in high school. I have to figure it out by bad mistakes. And that's what I did. Okay, so my husband is a pilot. And so we have to travel with a carry-on suitcase because if there's space on board, then they'll tell us last minute, oh yeah, you can get on this plane. But if I had checked my suitcase and last minute they said, oh, we actually don't have room for you in your kid, then we've got to go through the belly of the plane and find your little black suitcase that looks like all of the other ones. So we have to travel with a carry-on suitcase. And so I have for now 20.5 years, and I still will go through with a half a bottle of water because I've forgotten to take it out of my backpack or something like that. So I make these mistakes, and every time I learn, every time I travel, I learn. I'm like, I take a journal all the time because that's when all these ideas come to me and through people watching. But I think since I am a visual learner, I can help other people. And since I'm naturally talented with teaching, so I think of it in a teaching perspective. Maybe that helped.
Absolutely. So I think one big takeaway from this is you were an elementary school teacher for, you said 8 years? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of people think, well, I can't start a YouTube channel because I don't have any experience making videos. But actually, in your case, you had plenty of experience speaking and teaching and kind of showing people how to do something, in this case, children. And it's, if you can teach children to do something, I'm sure it's even easier to teach adults to do something, right? So you were able to kind of take this knowledge and put it into a YouTube career. So I think people would be surprised how often a seemingly unrelated job actually applies extremely well to YouTube.
Yes. At one of the Vid Summit, or the very first Vid Summit conference I went to, I met a guy who was a plumber, and he just does videos about fixing certain things with toilets and pipes. And I thought that was fascinating.
There you go. Yeah, it's like anything that you are an expert on, that you are passionate about, that you are excited to teach people, that can be a YouTube channel. And it's really all about coming up with the ideas and creating the videos and sticking to it. So with your ideas, you have a lot of, 7 tips for your first flight, 37 travel hacks, 9 travel outfit ideas. So what is your process for kind of coming up with these? You said you kind of bring a journal with you and you kind of jot things down, but I think an intimidating thing about starting a YouTube channel is like, how do you know what you're going to cover next? Sure, maybe you have a few video ideas, but how do you have faith that they're going to keep coming?
I think back to when I first started, I was looking for a video of things to do in Waco, Texas, after visiting the silos. So I have their viewpoint in mind, thinking, what are their pain points? What do they want to know about travel? Or now, what is searchable on youtube.com or google.com? What words would people be typing into Google or YouTube? And now I can look at my analytics to see what they are searching for. But what people are scared of, it's whatever fixes that emotion. Does it solve a problem for them? Does it ease a fear, like going through the airport security line now and getting pulled out of line because the alarm went off? Does it make them feel better flying through turbulence? Knowing my tips from my interview with my husband, just anything that would help. I say be less stressed because you stressed less. And the way that I teach you to do that is by making a list, checking the weather first, only packing 2 pairs of shoes, just easily attainable goals for them at first to get them to click, and then go through the why and the how based on my experience. And I think they know, since I have that experience and I too am scared to death of any bumps in the airplane, then they can trust me. And then they can go away with steps. And I know that with teaching, like any kind of list that's visual, one, you can make a slide for it and put it on your video, and then you can name it, which means Google is going to know, oh, that's what she's talking about. And that's what that picture or slide is that she's showing, because I named that, what was in that picture. Then I think more people get to see my videos, and then it's all just one beautiful cycle when it works out.
Hmm. Yeah, it
If
sounds
my
like.
thumbnail is good.
I mean, you seem to have really good thumbnails and kind of varied as well, which seems to work for you. And obviously, your face is kind of the thing that brings it all together. You're the icon of the channel, so to speak, which is good for branding. By the way, if you can,
It's weird. It feels
like,
so weird though, like it's so
hmm,
vain,
is it? Do you feel like
at first
it is
look.
vain, or are some days you're like, this is pretty cool? Like my face is all over this channel and people are watching it, and that feels nice.
I did always want to be on TV when I was younger,
Hmm.
but I think just with marketing, I see what I look at on TV, what I look at watching YouTube. It helps me seeing their face know more of how I can trust them, or she
Sure.
looks like a snob, or she doesn't know what she's talking about, or I don't know. I just think a face makes you click more. And it
Oh
takes
yeah.
a lot of people a long time before they want to put their face on a thumbnail.
I think it can be scary because by putting your face at the kind of center of a channel, you're maybe a target for scrutiny, or you're no longer this anonymous presence online. Now you're a person, and if people are criticizing you, they're not just criticizing a video. It feels like they're criticizing you, or at least it can. Is this one thing that you kind of had to deal with over the years? Did you ever have to take a break from YouTube? Because I think managing kind of mental health or stress or the day to day realities of running a channel is really crucial to its long term success. So, kind of
Hmm.
how have you dealt with the attention that you've gotten from all of this?
It is so funny, and then sometimes when it just goes on and on, you it's frustrating. You want so badly to tell your side of the story, but you didn't know what was going on that day or whatever. But I also have been a self-confident person pretty much my whole life. And I being older, I think you go through your identity,
Mm,
who you
mhm.
are really, especially through the dating years too. But uh, way off topic. But anyway, I try to think they have no idea. They are just out there to be an internet bully, like so many of them are. They are doing the clickbait. So I thankfully YouTube has that little thing on your settings page that I can hide that person forever from my channel, and at least get rid of the bullies. It doesn't get rid of
Right.
all the robots, but that's
Hmm.
helped me. And then sometimes I'll just laugh. I said, I cannot believe they're saying that. But then you get so many good comments. We need a lot less pictures of this boat instead of pictures of Laurie. And I put like 200 pictures in this little 8-minute video. It's just that kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah. So, have you found that you have cultivated a community with this channel where there's a lot of familiar people who show up to your videos kind of every time or most of the time? And if so, how do you maintain a sense of community? You have a community tab that you post to pretty regularly. It seems like you respond to comments, and you're generally. It sounds like you listen to feedback, at least the positive feedback. But do you have any other kind of tips or just whatever you do to maintain your community? Let's hear about it.
I think being consistent on the community posts is huge for YouTube showing it or pushing me out more. I don't know. And then also for community, I will say in a video, and if you have other suggestions, I'll do like twice. Ask for suggestions. Just put them in the comments because we have a wonderful community of travelers who also have smart ideas. So I include them and I also ask them questions. I'm not going live, but I do ask them questions about their opinion. People love giving their
Hmm.
opinion versus do you want this or not? Yes or no. But if you ask for an open ended question, people are more apt to answer that way. But recently, I don't know if any of your listeners have had this problem with YouTube. I want your community or your topic wants new subscribers or continued subscribers. I don't want the viewer who already knows, has watched all my videos and wants to pack or wants to watch my videos now, because now they know how to pack. I want the people who do not know how to pack or go through airport security. So I'm having that challenge right now, being here for 5 years now, of, okay, what kind of videos does my perfect fan want? Who is my audience member? And I went through that at the beginning of starting YouTube with all of the YouTube videos for creators that I would watch and listen to on podcasts. But you want to find out who is your audience person. And I think that's an ongoing process. Of looking at your analytics of what the YouTube search was, and then looking at the questions. I know YouTube last year or the year before said that you could now highlight or filter all of your comments just by the questions that had a question mark after them. And that's a great way to come up with videos. And I wish that I had started early on with my community, asking them, specifically, what are the fears of going through airport security? What are your worries about this topic? Or, your skincare, if it's someone in that line. But asking specific questions and then just listening to your audience. It's hard because it's a hard, as you know what you think a traveler needs to know, but that person has traveled twice in a carry-on. So they only need to know this much, but it's just hard debating with myself. Oh, I want to talk about this. It's so fun. They need to know this, not to tie their shoes at the last minute before they get in the security line. They need to have them untied 5 people back, but that's not what they're worried about or that they want to know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was kind of the monetization of your channel and kind of running it as a business. So you kind of have this ongoing process of figuring out who your core audience is, what do they want, and then there's kind of the added level of responsibility of how do I maintain this also as a business as well, because of course you want to maintain the integrity of the platform you've created, but then there's also a lot of opportunity here. So you sell a carry-on pouch that looks really cool. You sell a sticker. You kind of have a YouTube store here. What other ways do you monetize? So I'm guessing there's there's ad revenue, of course. Walk us through kind of the revenue streams of your channel that you're comfortable talking about.
Yes. Integrity is number one. Number two was I knew it was a business. Number three, I got on Instagram and knew that I wanted to be on Like to Know It for fashion influencers. You get affiliates from a sweater from Macy's, a pouch off of Amazon, and stuff like that. And so I worked really hard on Instagram, putting my fashion out there, which is a whole other story. People can judge a lot more about your fashion. Anyway, and then I also started with Amazon, though, because that was the easiest to apply for, because I could do it with my 50 subscribers, I think. And even back then, 6 years ago, I made a video once a week. And now that's all I have time for. But anyway, and so I do reward style or Like to Know It. That's fashion. Amazon. AdSense for me is a big money maker. I know a lot of people, YouTubers say you don't make a lot, but for me, I think because I don't know, I make, several thousand a month with AdSense, and then several thousand a month with Like to Know It. But underneath my video, if Like to Know It is not just for Instagram, underneath my video, I can do specific links. And I love the short link bit.ly, bit.ly, for making individual links for what I'm wearing. Because right now, if you were watching me on a YouTube video, you would see a painting behind me. And one person is going to say, hey, can you tell me where you got that little bitty painting but that's behind you, and it's just amazing. I learned that really fast, that they notice what's around you, and I have lots of b-roll and pictures up. It's not just my face. That was surprising. I knew, okay, I need to be able to make commission from this. And then so Amazon and that. And now I just last year, after watching Roberto Blake's video and It's Modern Millie's video about how to upload your shirts. But there's a problem with my Spreadshirt because, okay, so YouTube only allows 3 shirt companies or merch companies to be displayed, and they take care of it all under your YouTube videos. And now my shirts have disappeared. So I'm still waiting on them to get back to me on how to put the shirts back up there. So now you only see a pouch and a sticker. And then I wish I could think of a digital piece of a digital product that I could sell, like a packing list. Nobody wants to pay for a packing list, but some kind of digital product that is so evergreen, and you can change it so quickly. But I haven't come up with that idea yet. Mm-hmm. And then I am starting a blog. So I'm not going to put ads on my blog yet, but I'm going to start a blog, and that will be another affiliate. I've heard through podcasts you should have 7. And then brand deals. I also have brand deals, and I started doing brand deals. Is it okay if we talk about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Brand deals are huge. And I joined the pitching thing like probably 4 years ago. And my experience is do some free ones to begin with so that you can get statistics, you can get numbers, you can get pictures of you working for that brand for free. And it's going to be worth it because you will have the numbers. And then with those statistics, I was able to up it. And it's so scary, but it's a lot easier if you can just do it over email. So just get that price out there. I mean, I think I started at $250 for a product, and it was, I didn't do very well, but my numbers of subscribers and views and quality was all increasing. So then when I did up it to $1,500, because this Pitch It course that I was taking says you're way undercharging for this many subscribers. I think it was then near 50,000 subscribers. I was charging like $1,500 for a full video. And then I would now people are doing tiers. So if you want a full video, it's this. Right. And then if you want the full video and some a post or something on Instagram or TikTok, then I'll only charge you this much, which is really what you were hoping for at the top notch tier. And then it just gets so much easier. And then by the time you have more than 50,000, you're so confident with how you're praising this product, or that your perfect audience member is going to absolutely need this product. It really is authentic, and you can sell it even more easily for that brand and confidently for that brand. And then you'll have more numbers to have statistics with. I know for me with travel, I still have not gotten paid for a hotel visit, but I'm more on, my niche is more, it's travel tips by Laurie, but it's not hotel vacation spots. That's not my video niche really yet. We have a senior in high school. He's going to Kansas State next year. And so then I'll be able to travel more to sites, and we'll see if I want, or if my audience, wants me to research hotels and stuff like that, where I would actually get paid for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that could work well with your audience. I think the question with branching out is always, do you make a separate channel for that, or do you keep it on this one? And I think the answer is usually like experiment a little bit with your current channel, see how people respond. Like, does it get views? Does it seem like it has potential on here? And then, if it doesn't perform as well as you would have liked, then maybe it's worth making another channel and just kind of having that be a sort of secondary project, if there's time to run 2 channels at once, which is always the question, right? Which brings me to my next question for you. What does your day to day look like? Because I think a lot of people are curious, like for somebody who runs a YouTube channel, what does your average day look like? Because it's kind of a variable job. You can set your own hours. And how does your average day look like?
I will be here in my office almost all day, but if there is something that comes up, I can easily, change my schedule. I will have a list of videos for that month. I try to plan 3 weeks to 4 weeks to 6 weeks in
Hmm.
advance,
Wow.
and I type on an entire script. Well, one trip, like I just went to Breckenridge and I worked with a brand for free. After 6 years of doing this, for free, they rented me all this outerwear, like heavy ski coat and jacket and gloves and everything that I don't need here in Houston, Texas, for my Colorado trip, and therefore I didn't have to pack it in my carry-on suitcase. So that was a valuable thing for anybody who doesn't have room in their carry-on suitcase. But I started working on that video weeks ago. But then when I was there, I came up with like 4 video ideas. So on the plane, and when I get back here, I type out, not with Cat GPT or whatever that
Chat
audio,
GPT.
whatever
Uh-huh.
intelligence, artificial intelligence stuff is. I taught elementary school, not high school. Um, so I will write out my entire script by myself. And I did the same thing with teaching 8-year-olds. I would write it out, and then I knew on camera I would not forget as easily of what to go over. And I need to get down to where I just outlined. But anyway, and then I will now spend uh, $15 on outsourcing a thumbnail. Um, and then I will focus on, after I write the script for the video, I'll focus on what is a thumbnail going to be, because thumbnail needs to grab them, and then the title is for YouTube's business, so that
Hmm.
my title is SEO and will be seen or is searchable. But that thumbnail, I want it to hook people in. Um,
Right. So
and
I'm
then,
Oh,
mhm,
so I just had a quick question here. Your
sure.
camera presence is really good, and you said that you write out your scripts. Do you use a teleprompter? It sounds like you just kind of, once you write it, you've kind of
No,
internalized it at that point. So do you just have a really good memory? Is that how you're able to speak to the camera like that?
I'm a really good editor, and it takes me like 20 hours to edit my videos because I make so many mistakes, because I do
Hmm.
forget. I don't use a teleprompter, but it just helps me keep it organized. And then while I'm thinking of it, while I'm doing the video, I think of number, like lists. That's going to help you in 3 ways instead of like, that's going to help you like this in this way. I try to think of a listable reason.
Hmm.
I don't use a teleprompter. I feel like you can see people's eyes moving.
You
And
kind
then
of can.
when I look down, if I make a mistake and it's at the end of the clip, then I'll make sure I put a picture on iMovie over that part of the clip so that they don't see me looking down as I'm finishing the word. And then something like
Right.
that
Hmm.
to cover my mistake.
Hmm. Okay, I see. And so have you said you wanted to move into outlining. Obviously the advantage of that is it takes a lot less time to write a script. You just have to write some bullet points, and theoretically that would take, what, half the time, a quarter of the time. But like I've tried to do that as well. And I find it
Okay.
difficult, and I don't know why. Like, what is it about outlining that seems hard? Like, because I've always written out my scripts word for word, um and then recording seems like it takes longer than it needs to because it's so specific. But then when I go to outline, like I can't do it, or I can, but it just doesn't work as well as I thought it would. Like, what do you think is going on there? Because this seems like it would be really useful for people to be able to do.
I know. If I could think of the list first and then just do the highlights, like sometimes my husband, nothing against men or a judgment against women, sometimes he'll say, when he asks me a story, he's like, I just need the headlines. And I think sometimes I just need to write down the headlines. Like, what are the main things that people want to know? And then I should make lists maybe first
Hmm.
in my head and write them on paper, and then the details would come. Like this interview, not knowing the questions ahead of time, it has set me like at ease.
Hmm.
I love this, not knowing the questions, because I'm not freaking out, making sure I list every single thing that I wanted to write or would have written in advance. I'm
Hmm.
not sure what the answer is. Maybe we just have so many great thoughts in our head. We have to get them out on paper first instead of in headline form.
Right. I guess that's it. And when you write a script, I guess it's easier to kind of understand the overall point of everything you're trying to say. Whereas if you're outlining, there's so few details, it maybe is like it's harder to
Yes.
know what the purpose is because you haven't filled in all the details yet. So it's
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe it's a part of abstracting, or there's something going on here that is a mystery to solve. So for anybody listening, if you're able to outline your videos, you are saving time, and you should definitely reach out
Yes.
and tell us how you do it.
I wish I had, I think as a business owner, having systems in place, I wish or I need to have that, like make a list and stick to it for my day to day operations, because I do think that I could be more efficient or more productive through my day if I went through the same systems every single time. Or maybe in a video, what are the main systems that I should go through in writing a YouTube script?
Mm,
Maybe that would help us.
mhm,
But with more super intelligent people, it's really hard to tame us.
mhm. Yeah, it's maybe it's just a creativity thing. We build things one sentence at a time, and maybe that's just how it has to be. So
That's true.
the next thing I wanted to ask you about. So you use YouTube Shorts quite a lot. It seems like it's going very well for you. You mentioned TikTok and Instagram as well. Overall, how what are your thoughts on Shorts? Like, how do you use them? How have they affected your long form content? And overall, it seems like you would recommend them, but I'm curious on like how they've actually affected your channel tangibly.
I think that's going to be an ongoing question for years to come. I just do it because if YouTube puts something out and it's something new, then maybe they're going to show it to more people. So I just will throw it in every once in a while, because it's a short form video, which I do on Instagram. But for shorts, it's easier for me, especially with lighting and this new phone that I have. I have to have like the perfect lighting so I video myself doing a 15-second clip or something, and then a 5-second clip, so that when I'm in the YouTube app, it's from my camera roll. And I don't know if that makes it not as good because I'm not making the video fresh inside the app. I'm downloading it from my photos or something.
Mm,
I'm not sure, but I just do it every once in a while to keep YouTube happy, and they probably could care less. So I'm probably wrong with the algorithm and how that works with that. Um, I, I don't know. I wish there's so many things that shorts can improve on. The main thing is if we could put one word on that first frame, because you just see me with a backpack, you have no idea what my short is going to be about. If I could just put down there lost luggage, I think that would help make it more clickable.
mhm.
And then, oh my word, trying to describe to people or explain to your viewers who might not be used to short term video, how to find the description box. Oh my goodness, it's so frustrating. And like tap on those three dots. No, now you have to tap on the three dots that are below my picture. Oh, it's frustrating on shorts too. But
Yeah, they're
long
still kind
story,
of
I just do it.
figuring them out. Yeah, and they seem like they're good for getting attention because they're easy to make. They get pretty good views. They're more likely to go viral just because they're more consumable, right? I think long form videos. they are more of a commitment, I guess, for people to watch. So that people are more likely to scroll through a bunch of shorts than they are to click through one long form video after another. And I think that is kind of the key. I always tell people shorts are great for getting attention and longs are great for getting retention. So long form
Yes.
content generally is kind of where you build a core audience, and it's easier to monetize. Whereas shorts are just they get you out there, and also if people watch your shorts, then they're more likely to be recommended your long form content as well. So once you kind of get in front of them in the bite sized content, then your more detailed content is more likely to get shown to them. And that's really good to know, I think. And it just, if you only have so much time, like if somebody only has time to make one long form video a week or even one every other week, you can still make some shorts, and that is potentially going to bolster your long form content, which I think should be inspiring to people. This is kind of a new thing you can embrace to bolster what's already there.
I hope, because with shorts, how many minutes are they watching of YouTube now? They're only watching 30 seconds or something of mine. Whereas if they're watching, and the AdSense that I get now that I've made shorts an ad able to be used with ads, it's a lot less than the AdSense that I get from a long form video. And with that community that you're trying to build, it's just so hard to know which one is going to bring in the most money. So yeah, keep testing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always worth experimenting, and I think it can be fun to experiment too. Like, do you find with shorts that they're almost lower pressure, because they're so short and easy to make that you can kind of just like, I'll make a video real quick. I've got an extra 5 minutes, and there we go. You just kind of create
Right.
one off the bat.
Right. And do you write a script for your short? No. So it's a lot less stressful
Mm-hmm.
because I stressed less.
which is always nice. That's the goal. So
Yes.
overall, like how do you feel that YouTube has affected your life? So before you started your YouTube channel, your life was a certain way, and then after your life changed somehow. What does that before and after look like?
Well, I mean, it is free. It is totally free to do this and then make money in so many different ways. So I knew that I would make money right off the bat, but that's not like why I do it. I don't need the money per se. But it was it balanced, it hit all my needs as a stay-at-home mom with a middle schooler who's not here during the day. And while my husband is gone flying on a trip, it does fulfill my teaching need or my brain use in a different way. So right off the bat, it wasn't that stressful for me. And now it's really, it's more of a business, I guess, now. So I want to spend more time on it because I know where I can improve sometimes. But it's just that free marketing that is right there, and people are consuming it to no end. It is just fascinating. My husband was shocked when I started making money from all those random photos I would make him take I would put into a video. He was shocked, and I make now double of what I made as a teacher of 8 years with my master's degree, all from making one video a week. It's just
Wow.
mind boggling. And
Wow.
it's so fun. And I'm able to be creative still and use my brain. And it's just great.
And how
It's
many
right there for us. And I had people watching me before I had a microphone for 3 years. It was so bad. Oh, it was so bad.
And how many hours a week generally are you working on this channel?
Now at least 30 something. But even at the beginning, it was taking me 20 hours to upload, or like to film and edit my video in iMovie. And it still almost takes that long. I should probably outsource my editing, but I still want control over it. And because it makes so many mistakes,
Mhm.
I want more control over the editing, but that would free up a whole lot of time for me.
Yeah, I would recommend trying it. You don't have to commit to an editor for all videos immediately or anything, but I think you will find that if you have the right editor, that it's somebody that you like and you appreciate their taste in things, then even if the first couple edits they do for you aren't ideal, you can give them a bunch of notes and they can kind of trim things up. There's also the option to have somebody edit things so that it's like 95% done, 90% done, and that can save you a lot of time as
Ooh,
well. And you kind of get
ooh,
rid of a lot of the grunt
mm,
work, but then you're able to do the more detailed work that you probably like doing more anyway. Because obviously with editing,
mm,
there's so much that is just it's just very tedious, and at some point you may decide I'm going to hire somebody for this, and I
mm-hmm.
I would recommend it, especially if you were going to start a second channel of sorts, or release
Okay.
another type of content. It would free up time, and so that's my 2 cents. Hiring an editor, like clearly you can afford it, so I would recommend it.
How do you send pictures and like B-roll
hmm
if you're
So
sending that to an editor?
you can do it a variety of ways. I mean, I usually use Discord. You can also just use Google Drive. I think Google
Mm,
Drive is probably the easiest way, now that I think about it. So yeah, you can pay like $2 a month, I think it is, and you get 2 terabytes on Google Drive. You just have a folder. You upload all the stuff to the folder, and you send the editor just hey, here's the B-roll, here's the pictures. Use it here. There's also
okay.
in well this I guess this wouldn't really apply since you would be sending them raw footage, but yeah, there's a website called frame.io where you can essentially leave very detailed comments of like, at this point in the video insert this, at this point in the video insert this. um, and actually that would still be helpful for you now that I think about it. So frame.io, and then
Oh,
yeah, and then Google Drive, just it's very easy, and I think you'd be able to
okay.
send resources very easily. So just my 2 cents as a guy who's also been doing this for a while. Yeah, and I don't know, video editing can be quite tedious and just takes a lot of time. So if you can use that time to travel even more, I don't know, it's your life.
Right. Yep.
hmm yeah, so I this has been a great conversation. We're kind of nearing the end here. So at this point I'd like to ask, what is your golden rule for YouTube? Like if you could give one piece of advice to grow a channel doing what is important to you, what would that rule be?
I would say start wherever you are with a phone, with no lighting, with no mic like I had. Start and then, but always think of what the audience is thinking and searching for and typing into Google or YouTube and go from there with your ideas and
Mhm.
then tweak it to those searchable words.
Right. And I think starting is powerful too, because even though maybe you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, the more videos you make, the better you get at it. And the more you'll kind
Yes.
of realize what you can tweak. And I think people, they try to get everything perfect before they start. And, you want things to be good
Yes.
enough. But
Mm-hmm.
what's that saying? Perfection is the enemy of good enough. And the more you make, the better you're going to get, and starting is powerful. I totally agree.
Yep.
hmm Well, Laurie, thanks so much for joining me. I think it's really great how you've been able to just stop your full time job and work on YouTube. It sounds like a little less hours, even making double the money. So, I mean,
I
that's
know.
the dream, right? And live your own
Yes.
schedule. I'm sure it goes even better with traveling than teaching, though I know you get summers off generally. But still,
Yes.
now it's your weeks are yours to do what you want with, and that's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
hmm
It's great. It's worked out great so far.
Well, travel tips by Laurie. Check her out, everybody. You will not be disappointed. You will learn a thing or two or three about how to travel well, and it's certainly something I appreciated as somebody who spends way too much time packing very inefficiently. And with that, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next one.